Welcome to Sarpy Outlook, a grassroots program dedicated to promoting democratic ideals from an issue-based perspective. This year, however, we are focusing on candidates who embody those ideals by running for public office. I'm Peg O'Dea Lippert. Our guest is Bellevue City Councilwoman Carol Blood, candidate for Nebraska Legislative District 3. Welcome, Carol.
Thanks for having me, Peg.
Carol was first elected as the at-large Bellevue City Council delegate in 2008. With a record of hard work and tenacity, Carol was re-elected to the position in 2012. Being elected to the at-large seat means she was chosen by and for all the voters of Bellevue, not just those in a single district. In addition to her hard work on the City Council, Carol has a long history of volunteerism and community activism. Carol, before we get in to the work you've done on the Council, what more would you like the voters to know about you?
Well, I think I'd like the voters to know that I am a Nebraska girl, born and raised here in Nebraska. I actually grew up on a farm in central Nebraska. My husband and I moved to this part of the state to raise our 3 children, who are now adults and have blessed me with 7 grandchildren. My husband Joe and I have been married for almost 30 years, and we actually plan on retiring here in this part of the state because this is our home. I've loved serving on the Bellevue City Council, but mostly I've loved the volunteerism that I've experienced in our community and the wonderful people that live here.
Wonderful. Carol, let's talk specifically about your work on the Bellevue City Council as a backdrop to your interest in running for Legislative District 3. What do you consider your greatest influence and or achievement over the past now nearly 8 years?
You know, I think I have to start with the fact that even though when we came onto the council, and we really were all but 2 people new to the council, they had downsized the council from 10 to 6, had a big election, and 4 of the council people that came on in 2008 were new to the council. And what I loved is that even though we were all very different in personality and came from different walks of life, we worked together and got things done. We got things done, and if we had to vote no against something, there were never any hard feelings. It was always, what can we do to make Bellevue better? How can we get things done? And I'm proud of that. And one of the things that we got done together as a group was I brought forward strategic planning. And that was actually one of the reasons I ran for council, is that I had noticed there were things in Bellevue that weren't getting accomplished. And I truly believed, after watching council meetings and reading through minutes and information over the last decade, that Bellevue didn't have a plan. They didn't know where they were going, and they'd never done strategic planning, which, as the 3rd largest city in Nebraska, seemed impossible to me. Basically, they were just writing checks. So we were able to implement strategic planning. And what's awesome about that is that every year it's revisited, first of all, because it's a living, breathing document. But what it does is it gets everybody on the same page. Administration, the mayor, council, staff, we all know what needs to be done, how we're going to get there, and it holds us accountable. And since it is a living, breathing document, we revisit it each year, and we also make it public because we have worked very hard to be very transparent in our community. And so if citizens want to know what's in the future for Bellevue, they can go to our website and say, okay, this is where we're going, and this is why we're going, and this is how we're going to get there. So I think that that's one of my greatest achievements, is getting us to move forward.
That's remarkable and big effort too, and a timely process. I know well. Building strategic plans take a lot of work and energy. So let's continue, Carol, with other successes you feel that you've had during the time you've served the people of Bellevue.
Well, strategic planning helped people get focused on what our wants and needs were, and one of the wants and needs that I knew when I came onto the council and was on my checklist when I came onto the council, I had a long list of things I wanted to accomplish. And one of them was we needed a new police station. We had our police in multiple locations throughout Bellevue, and there was no cohesiveness. and we were wasting money on rent, and we didn't have the types of facilities that a city of our size should have had. Previous councils had purchased something called the core slab property, also known as the Wilson Concrete Plant property, but never really figured out how to pay for a police station. In fact, when we came onto the council, we found out that there'd never been an environmental study done on that property. We had to get over $1 million grant to clean it up before anything could even be done with that property.
The eyesores I referred to.
Yeah, and so I thought, if we could find an existing property, we could save tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, and we could also kill two birds with one stone, because the biggest thing holding up Old Town development was the fact that the city had been the biggest property owner for decades in Old Town. If we could find a facility that would help us create a amazing police station that was high tech and deserving of a police force of our size, that also made room for the city workers that are currently in the Old Town area, we would solve two problems. Actually, three problems, because of course city employees are outgrowing their space in that old city hall anyway. And sure enough, I was able to work with a realtor, find a property on an area called Wall Street, that's centrally located in Bellevue. We literally saved taxpayers tens of millions of dollars from building from the ground up. And now we have one of the most high-tech police stations in the central United States. And in fact, I encourage citizens watching this to ask for a free tour, because it is amazing and we're so proud of it. And our police are so deserving, our law enforcement.
Well, that's amazing, Carol, that you were able to use existing facility. I imagine you had to, of course, renovate it.
We did have to renovate it.
A considerable upgrade, but still much less expensive than to build from the ground up.
And in addition to the police station, one of the really great things that have happened is we've also are in the process of almost completing a new convention center. One of the things we needed to do was create a type of entertainment district to encourage new economic development to come in. And we've done so in a little bit south of 36 and 370. It's to open in June of this summer. And we got into a great public-private partnership with Kinseth, who's going to be doing the hotel and running the convention center for us. And we are going to be seeing a really nice tax revenue increase from that center and from all the new businesses that are going to be going in around it. So we've really, if you look back where we started, and it's a long list and we only have a few minutes, if you look at where we started at in 2008, 2009, with the city of Bellevue, $10 million in the hole and no rainy day fund, we have not only moved forward with economic development. The core slab property, by the way, is now being developed by a private developer with retail and apartments. And you look at our budget, we're no longer $10 million in the hole, thank goodness.
That's amazing.
And we have a substantial rainy day fund. So that's really a short window of time that we've accomplished that. So growth and financial stability, those are both good things, positive
And that
things.
is without significant tax increases to
Yes.
accomplish that?
The only tax increase that we've had since I've been on the council was unfortunately in 2009 during the recession, where we lost both state and federal funding and we had the big deficit. We had to make a dire decision, and we did raise property tax. But we have not raised any taxes since then. And the nice thing about property tax is that if we continue in the upward flow that we're in, we can always lower that again.
Good. When you talk about the convention center, I'm reminded of what we've seen develop in La Vista.
Absolutely.
Once they put in the convention center, it's continual growth, really, in and around that area. Good. Now you already are a bit ahead because you already have a movie theater in
There you go.
the area. Yeah. So in spite of all the successes that you have accomplished and seen accomplished during the time you've been in the city council, what has been perhaps your biggest disappointment? Maybe something you hoped to achieve that didn't come about?
I don't know if it's things that weren't achieved as much as things not done as quickly as I would have liked them seen happen. Old Town has been going in a negative direction for decades. And it's heartbreaking when you think about what used to be in Old Town Bellevue. And so although I'm thrilled that we are finally at a point where we've never been before with Old Town, where we're putting out an RFI. We're going to be working with a commercial realtor to find the best developers for Old Town to take over the city property. Those are positive things. I wanted that done yesterday. I wanted that done back in 2010. And back in 2010, I was working on it in 11 and 12 and 13.
It was kind of incremental. One couldn't happen until the other happened, right?
Yeah, the city of Bellevue was the biggest hurdle to Old Town development. And it was unfortunate because you can wish things and say, oh, I think we need a new movie theater down there, or a steakhouse, or, I mean, I've heard it all. But you have to ask people, where would you put those things? You cannot put anything of any substance until you pull the city out of there. And you can't, and quite frankly, you'll probably have to demolish those buildings. But those are positive things. Yes. And again, that is the furthest we have been since I've come on the council, or in the last 2 decades.
Wonderful.
So it is exciting, but it's sad because government moves so darn slow.
Well, yes, that's the way it is. I
It
guess.
is how it is.
Yeah, we don't do hasty things. So let's shift now to the campaign underway. With the proven record that you have, and beyond winning, what aspirations will you bring to the Nebraska Unicameral on behalf of the constituents in your district, Carol?
Well, I know I bring enthusiasm, and I bring what I call institutional knowledge or institutional memory. I see bills that are passed with good intention that resolve the problem that happens to be in front of the senators at the time. But without that institutional memory of knowing that sometimes how things will affect area municipalities, be they cities big or small, sometimes those bills get passed, creating an additional burden for municipalities. And often that translates into additional burdens for taxpayers. One of the reasons we were having issues in 2009 was we were in a recession. The state was in a recession. The federal government was in a recession. The federal government pulled their funding from the city of Bellevue. The state pulled their funding from the city of Bellevue, which left us alone and trying to decide how do we make up for this deficit. A recent example is the property tax bill that was brought forward in this session. And had that first draft gone through, every municipality in Nebraska would have had an additional hurdle for economic development. Bellevue alone would probably have had to stop 5 of its most important projects, including the convention center.
Really?
And so I think that I know I bring forward something that we don't have a whole lot of in the legislature. We have a really good mix of attorneys and farmers and teachers, and but I think we could benefit from a few people that have a little bit more municipal experience.
That's interesting, Carol. Yeah, certainly to create a balance within the unicameral.
And bring a different point of view as to how it's going to affect the municipalities, because we can't say, well, we're going to solve our problem and then it becomes your problem and, good luck. I think that there are ways that we can prevent that from happening, and that's not always going to be the case. But at least it would be nice to have somebody with that experience to say, wait a minute, let's take a different look at this.
So you have, in that sense, a unique perspective to bring to the unicameral.
I do. And the other thing I would say is that coming to the unicameral, one of the things I bring is my keen sense of research, is that I've always depended on myself to find unbiased numbers. I appreciate the fact when a city administrator or somebody from a certain organization gives me information and says, here's my view, here's my facts. But as we all know, when people want to get something moved forward, sometimes those facts are a little biased. And I benefit from finding them on my own. Because as you always hear me say, numbers never lie. They're the same in every language. They allow me to make the right vote. And there are times that, based on facts, I'm going to vote because I know it's the best thing for Bellevue. And it may not personally be something that I favor. But I don't represent Carol. I represent the citizens of Bellevue.
And now the citizens of Legislative District 3. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about this campaign?
I would like to say that I would very much like to earn everyone's votes in LD3. And here's the reason why. I think it's really important that whoever represents them is their true voice, that it's somebody who is independent, impartial, and accountable. And my track record proves that I am all three.
Well, that's remarkable, Carol.
Thank you.
On behalf of Sarpy County Democrats, I want to thank you for your service to the city of Bellevue. And the best thing that I can wish you is every vote, both in the primary and in the general election.
Thank
Best
you.
wishes, Carol.